afternoon, and thanks for joining us this half hour for the Curtis Strange Shrine Classic preview. Now, before we get into details about the Shriners and the Shriners Hospital for Crippled Children, I want you to meet the man who is responsible for bringing this event of an 18-hole golf exhibition to Eastern North Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, Curtis Strange. Who is Curtis Strange? Well, he's been called the best golfer in the world. His play during the last 5 seasons has established him as one of the most feared competitors in the world. He has won 12 times on the PGA Tour in the last 5 years, and that includes 2 back-to-back U.S. Open championships in 1988 and in 1989, becoming the very first since Ben Hogan did it in 1950 and 1951.
What I've done, I don't know. I don't think about it much. I try not to because I think you get ahead of yourself, and you can get too excited about it and you don't work the way you used to. And I think I got more to accomplish, so I try not to think too much about tournaments and things like that. But and that's just the way I've always been. I try to stay down to earth and always have been. But
Curtis Strange started playing golf at age 7 and received instruction from his father, who was a golf professional and owned the White Sands Country Club in Virginia Beach, Virginia. His father did not live long enough to see Curtis reach those goals they both had set for him during his amateur days.
Yeah, to answer your question about my dad, I do think about it once in a while. I thought about it quite a bit at the Open in Brookline. But that happens. There's no ever good time for a 39-year-old man to die. But he gave me the start and the fundamentals, and I just carried on from there. And I think by being a little bit tough on myself sometimes and being tough in general, that has helped me through the way.
In 1989, Curtis entered 21 tournaments, finished in the money in 20. Had 9 top 10 finishes, and had a stroke average of 69. But that success did not happen overnight.
I don't know, it was tough back then at times. I think it was, I look on it as kind of times to look back on and smile. I don't think Sarah says the same things because it was tough. We stayed in, not so nice places, and you're watching every penny that you spend, and you driving from tournament to tournament, and there was long hours, and I wasn't playing very well at the time, and trying to compete on tour. It's not that I wasn't playing so well as the step from amateur golf to professional golf was such a giant step, and so I had to practice and to be able to contend on tour. And you have to remember, we're our own coaches, managers, trainers. We have to motivate ourselves, and if you can't motivate yourself, you can't be successful.
Now, there's probably a lot of you out there that don't know that Curtis has a twin brother. And don't you even think that his twin doesn't catch a lot of grief and attention over Curtis's success.
He used to try to answer all the questions and things he'd get, but he just says thank you very much when somebody calls him Curtis, or good plan or bad plan or whatever it might be. He just says thanks and keeps going. He says it's easier doing that, and it's been tough on him. It's when he came out on tour in '81, I'd already had some success, and it's difficult, I think. And I think that was part of the reason why he quit. But he's a very good player. He's my biggest fan, I think, now, and he's very helpful in my swing. And when things go wrong, he tells me like it is. He's not going to sugarcoat it.
Now, we didn't tell you that the event will be played at Greenbrier Golf Club. Right now, we're on the very scenic number 10 hole, and during the entire wraps, we'll be moving along the course so you'll get to see some of it. Now, later this half hour, Curtis will talk about his reasons for choosing Eastern North Carolina and why helping children less fortunate than his own is important to him. Now, the Shriners. It's a name most people are familiar with thanks to such events as the Shrine Circuses, the annual East-West Shrine football game, and the 22 Shriners Hospitals for Crippled Children. Yet, it is an organization that very few know much about. The Shriners. Just who are those guys?
A familiar sight, Shriners on parade. These are among the nearly 800,000 men who belong to this famed Masonic fraternity that dates back almost 120 years to this New York restaurant, the Knickerbocker Cottage. The shrine was founded here by Dr. Walter Fleming, a Manhattan physician, and Billy Florence, a star of the New York stage. Its prime purpose was for fun and fellowship. Now, however, the shrine is better known as the organization behind the world's greatest philanthropy, the 22 Shriners Hospitals for Crippled Children, providing some of the best medical care to children, and all free of charge. Headquartered in Tampa, Florida, the shrine consists of 190 chapters called temples located across the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. All Shriners are members of the Masonic fraternity. Academy Award-winning actor Ernest Borgnine.
It's called Masonry because it all stems from the master carpenter. And that master carpenter was a master, and he had his apprentices. And those apprentices learned from the master. And as you went on and on and on, you too became a master. And so, as you go along in Masonry, you further advance yourself in the concept of doing good for man. And that's what it's all about.
Through the years, the shrine has had a long list of illustrious members, including former presidents such as Franklin D. Roosevelt, Harry Truman, and Gerald Ford, and such famed actors as John Wayne, Clark Gable, Red Skelton, and Glenn Ford. Today's members come from every walk of life, and most admit that belonging to the shrine has had a definite impact on their lives. Florida State Senator John Grant.
You know, education is about 50% or less academics and 50% or more teaching people how to assimilate into a meaningful role in the adult community. And there are a few experiences that I've had that have helped me more to grow up and be a man and be a responsible citizen than my exposure to Masonry.
I don't know, I get kind of carried away sometime about Masonry and Shrindom simply because they all do good work. They not only have to do work on their own to make a living, but they also donate their time, their money, their resources, their everything that they can possibly give to this one thing that they believe in, helping other people. And ours is to unselfishly to help children throughout the world.
What a sensational network of people, individuals who search every corner to find ways of making life better for some child. Just imagine a place where sick children can receive some of the best medical care in the world, even though their families may not be able to afford it. This isn't a dream. Free care is available at the Shriners Crippled Children's Hospital.
The Shriners Hospital for Crippled Children in Tampa, Florida, where a 6-year-old girl born with one leg severely shorter than the other and a deformed foot wears an Ilizarov fixator to help her leg grow. For her parents, this procedure was a godsend.
It was either having her leg amputated or going through life with a short leg, or of course going through this procedure.
These are just a few of the hundreds of Americans now undergoing treatment with this revolutionary procedure developed by a Soviet physician, Dr. Gabriel Ilizarov.
And what we are doing, in a sense, with Ilizarov's device is producing a controlled fracture. And what we have to do now is leave it with a very small gap so that the bone, in a sense, thinks that there's a fracture and is stimulated to try and fill it in, and to stretch out that gap very, very slowly so that the bone is fooled into thinking, as if bones could think, that this is a fracture and it still should try and heal it.
The procedure is accomplished by wearing this fixator frame. For hospitals such as the Shriners Hospital system, being equipped to provide this surgery is a major expense.
The average cost for a Shrine Hospital to inventory sufficient hardware so that one can be prepared to do this procedure on a frequency of once or twice a month is between $60,000 and $120,000. Per patient, the average application will cost somewhere in the neighborhood of $6,000 to $8,000.
It should be pointed out that the Shriners Hospitals provide their services free of charge to their patients. The Ilizarov procedure is considered to be a breakthrough treatment in limb lengthening.
When we return, more about the Shrine Hospitals, and still to come, Curtis Strange and Jay Haas. We'll be right back after these messages from two of our founding sponsors.
Bosch circular saws are designed with precision built in, so they can do this smoothly. With a tremendous power-to-weight ratio to do this quickly. With great balance to do this easily. And with very rugged construction in case of this. Bosch. Quality you can hold on to.
Nothing beats it.
Nothing beats it.
Nothing beats it.
The one and only.
Nothing beats it.
The clean, the crisp, the cold. The king of beers.
Nothing beats the Bud. Nothing beats the king of beers. Nothing beats a Budweiser. Nothing beats a Bud.
Welcome back to a very special half hour of the Curtis Strange Shrine Classic Preview. Did you know that 850,000 men make up what is known as the Shrine of North America? For 65 years, the Shrine has operated a network of specialized hospitals which treat orthopedically disabled and burned children. And that free care is available up to their 18th birthday.
Smile, smile.
A baby born with club feet.
I'm going to put you in a splint that you'll be able to walk on. I hope
An Indian girl stricken with polio.
Stand up on that. Let me make sure your hips are level there, okay?
A boy without a foot. All helped by the miracles performed every day at the 19 Shriners orthopedic hospitals around the country. Hospitals even more miraculous when you consider that these children receive some of the best care money can buy, absolutely free, just as they have for the last 65 years.
My husband came here. He was born with club feet too, so he came here when he was an infant, and he had the operations and went through the whole thing, and he's walking fine now.
Dr. David Hollister and the Shrine Hospital in Portland, Oregon are working to prevent club feet and other crippling diseases through a multi-million-dollar research program fully funded by the Shriners.
The goal of this research unit is to ask the question, what causes crippling disease in children? We recognize now more than 100 different crippling diseases. I think the Shrine is one of the leaders in this particular area of research. There's no question that they've given a lot of resources toward basic science studies of connective tissues. It's an investment for the future, and the Shriners have been a very significant factor.
And every day, the Shriners hospitals continue to make an investment for the future. For kids like Justin Alexander, who has dreams just like any other little boy.
I want to be a professional football player. I looked in the Guinness Book of World Records and I saw a guy play for the New Orleans Saints. He had a prosthesis too, and he was the field goal kicker. He holds the record for the farthest kick. I'm going to try to beat his record, I hope.
These hospitals, 19, which are located in the United States, were among the first specialized children's orthopedic hospitals in North America. In 1980, Shriners Hospitals expanded its scope of treatment by establishing one of the nation's first spinal cord injury units for children.
Over $1 billion a day is spent on health care in the U.S. Staggering figures that can be personally devastating to a family who can't afford to pay mounting medical bills for a child in need. But for the last 65 years, for those families, the Shriners have been there. Known as the world's greatest philanthropy, the Shriners fully fund 19 orthopedic hospitals and 3 burn centers across North America and have never once billed a patient. A miracle to people like Jane Fielding, whose son TJ was in a car accident.
There aren't too many people that would be able to pay for this, and were Shriners not available, there would be many children who would be left with a life that didn't allow them to reach their potential, and that's what Shriners does for kids.
Through private donations and fundraising efforts, the Shriners are able to provide expensive, specialized care in a family-centered environment. Here in San Francisco, physical therapists, occupational therapists, and physicians, headed by Dr. Kirkland Ashley, work as a team to bring kids with spinal cord injuries back into the community.
A new aspect that the Shriners recently have taken an interest in is spinal cord injury in children. They receive care that encompasses many different aspects of their problems, but the chances of them leading happy and productive, active lives is excellent. That's the purpose of the whole ball game up there on that spinal cord unit.
And it's a purpose with a high price tag. Luckily, because of the Shriners, these children from around the world get the benefit of therapists like William Fraser, who's also in a wheelchair.
They're having problems with the mobility right now, and they're just as happy and healthy, and that's my job, is to keep them that way, than the kid out on the street.
Shriners is everywhere and takes people from anywhere and just gives them what they need, just because they need it.
In addition to its excellent medical care, Shriners hospitals conduct major medical research into a variety of crippling diseases and advanced treatment of burn injuries. This is why donations and fundraisers such as the first annual Curtis Strange Shrine Classic are so important. When we return, you'll meet the guys who'll play in the exhibition, including Curtis Strange and fellow touring professional Jay Haas. The Craven County TDA's main purpose is to promote Craven County as a leisure and business travel destination. We know what a diverse area we have, and we want to tell the world so that they may visit and enjoy our treasures. Craven County, North Carolina offers its residents and visitors many things to do and see. Come see Tryon Palace and our many museums. Beautiful historic New Bern. There's no place like it.
This is the best, and we got it right here. Yeah, nothing beats a bud, yeah, nothing beats a bud, yeah, nothing beats a Budweiser, nothing beats a bud.
Your friends at BB&T invite you to join the New Bern area Shriners in their efforts to help crippled children. BB&T was founded in Wilson back in 1872. We're the oldest bank in the two Carolinas. Today, we've become one of America's 100 largest banks. We've survived and prospered because we always put our customers first. Stop by one of our many convenient offices today and find out why we say BB&T. It's more than a bank, it's an attitude. We're just about halfway through the show, and we've yet to focus in on the who, the when, and the where of this Shrine Classic. In the next segment, Curtis talks about the exhibition from its conception.
Why New Bern? Well, Sarah's from here, my wife, and her parents and family are here, and we started a pro-am benefiting the Children's Hospital at home in Williamsburg about 7 or 8 years ago. And this was, you know, the next thing I wanted to do was, this is kind of like second home to me, and we lived here for a couple of years and wanted to do something eventually here. And we finally got around to doing it.
Now, during a recent July press conference, Curtis spent the day at Greenbrier and talked to media openly about the event, like what he pictured the exhibition to become.
The basics to it was to put on a day of golf, to raise some money for some charity, which we didn't know what it would be at the time. And as we got farther into it, we decided it would be for the Crippled Children's Hospital.
The Crippled Children's Hospital, for reasons like the story that Curtis heard that day at the press conference, the story of young Bruce Ogle.
When Bruce was born with a short left leg. You can see by his artificial leg that it's about, his leg is about 3/4 as long. The first place we took him was not a Shrine Hospital. It was up to Chapel Hill. They told us the only thing they could do would be to amputate his foot and treat it as an above-knee amputation. We didn't want to do that, and we told him so.
Now, thanks to the Crippled Children's Hospital, Bruce will be able to live a normal life. Now, Curtis mentioned that events like the Shrine Classic left a good taste in his mouth, and he saw big things for the future of this event.
By just the response from the people of Eastern North Carolina has been fantastic. We think that we really have a foundation to grow on now, and we are looking forward to it. We're going to get this year over with first, but we're looking forward to next year. And I think we're just going to wait to see what happens this year and to see what we decide to do next year.
Now, already through sponsorship monies, $65,000 has been raised, and that was before the first ticket had been sold. Now, Eastern North Carolina is excited about this event, and it's because of guys like Curtis and his fellow competitor, Jay Haas, who has committed to playing in the exhibition. Let's meet Jay up close and personal. Jay Haas has been one of the more highly regarded players on the PGA Tour. He, like Curtis, turned pro in 1976, and since then has won 7 times on the PGA Tour. Jay was a teammate of Curtis's at Wake Forest University and said he didn't have to think twice when asked to play in the Shrine Classic with his good friend.
He's done some benefits for me down in Greenville, South Carolina, and just a little repaying a favor, I guess. He's been a good friend since college days, and he said he needed me to come play, and I'm there.
Now, although in the last year or so he hasn't been a big winner on the tour, Jay Haas has been a big success in several charity golf tournaments where he is the master of ceremonies. He feels that golf is the biggest giver in raising money for the less fortunate.
Well, you know, our ads for PGA Tour is we've given more to charity than all the major sports combined. Hundreds of millions of dollars we've put into charities around the country, and you know, if we can give something back to the game, generally we're taking money out of the cities each time we come there, but the tournament puts money back into it, and I think we generate that income for the tournaments.
Just one more little tidbit about this touring pro coming to New Bern. When you're talking about pure swings, Jay Haas has one. He was taught by one of the best former Masters champions in the world, Bob Golby, who just happens to be Jay's uncle. Now, with 2 talented touring professionals, what more could you ask for? Well, perhaps a star on the rise. Also playing will be the North Carolina State Amateur Champion, Mike Goodis. Mike Goodis is from Reidsville, North Carolina, and has enough amateur titles to put him in a class by himself. He won the 1984 Cardinal Amateur, the 1989 North Carolina State Amateur, and has qualified for 3 U.S. Amateurs. Now, rounding out the foursome will be Duke sophomore Jason Widener, who won last year's ACC title as a freshman. This Greensboro native is a 2-time Southern Amateur Champion, 2-time Cardinal Amateur Champion, and a second-team All-American. Now you've met the guys who have so graciously donated their time to raise money for the Shriners Hospitals, and we can just about guarantee that you'll see some great golf shots. When we return, we'll take a look at the site of this event, and we'll tell you how you can get tickets in just a moment. The Craven County TDA's main purpose is to promote Craven County as a leisure and business travel destination. We know what a diverse area we have, and we want to tell the world so that they may visit and enjoy our treasures. Craven County, North Carolina offers its residents and visitors many things to do and see. Come see Tryon Palace and our many museums. Beautiful historic New Bern. There's no place like it. Your friends at BB&T invite you to join the New Bern area Shriners in their efforts to help crippled children. BB&T was founded in Wilson back in 1872. We're the oldest bank in the two Carolinas. Today, we've become one of America's 100 largest banks. We've survived and prospered because we always put our customers first. Stop by one of our many convenient offices today and find out why we say BB&T. It's more than a bank, it's an attitude.
Bosch makes jigsaws with powerful motors to handle tough cutting like this, with 3-position orbital action to handle a wide variety of cutting like this, with smooth, chatter-free operation to handle precise cutting like this, and with very rugged construction to handle aggressive cutting like this. Bosch, quality you can hold on to.
The site of the 1990 Curtis Strange Shrine Classic is Greenbrier Golf Club in New Bern. The course was designed by Reese Jones and was completed in November of 1988. It's been noted as one of the premier tracks in eastern North Carolina. The layout is best known for its towering pines, man-made lakes, and its large mounds which challenge even the best of golfers. Anyone of any level can play at Greenbrier. 4 tee boxes gives 4 different looks. The longest par 5 is number 13, which averages 523 yards when combining all the tee boxes. The longest par 3 is number 15, and the longest par 4, undoubtedly, is number 18. Now, once again, the date is October 1st. The site, Greenbrier Golf Club in New Bern, and the proceeds go to benefit the Shriners Crippled Children's Hospitals. We hope that you'll take the time to come and be a part of the Curtis Strange Shrine Classic. And we would like to thank you for tuning in and watching us today for this very special half hour. For all the volunteers and the committee members, I'm Kim Briel, and we hope to see you on October 1st.